farmers markets were around here. And I found out about, there was like, at that time, only like 4 markets. And I found out about the Phoenix Public Market. And I went down there, I walked the market, and I found out.
No, Coco, her sister.
We are
sister.
come in.
Right.
Her brother-in-law. Talking about
Brother-in-law.
everything.
Sister.
We
Oh,
are
wow.
live.
We are live. We are live up in here.
Energy,
We are live.
So much beauty in the room. Bunch of melanin.
I'm gonna need you to act right.
I said a bunch of
You're
melanin.
live, but look, make the introductions and keep it short. This guy here.
Hey, my name
Hi.
is Larville, aka L Dub, aka the Sun Valley Nino, the L Dizzle with the drizzle. We are here. Let's go.
Let's do it.
So we're gonna make introductions starting from the left.
You said you were going
Going,
this way.
going
You guys do it.
clockwise.
So we're going counterclockwise?
Counterclockwise.
Oh, okay.
Then you would be next.
All right, you're up.
Roberta with the Sun Behavioral Health. I'm the owner, CEO.
Awesome.
I am a corporate suit in a lot of ways, but also a very active social and philanthropic suit. Victoria Williams. I manage campus operations for American Express for their U.S. recruitment. I serve on multiple boards, and I will next year be the first African American and first African American female board of directors for the Herberger Theater Center. Which is Phoenix's, which is Phoenix's
love it.
downtown. Yeah, so.
Oh, that's so awesome.
I'm also a grandma.
Oh, that's so cool,
Yeah, I'm a
too.
Gigi. That's my first-
Gigi.
What? I didn't do
It's
it.
okay, girl. It's okay. We can come back.
Whatever you said.
See what happened was.
What happened?
Well, I'm Dana Dumas. I am the CEO and founder of Sugar Jam brands, and one of them is Sugar Jam, the Southern Kitchen. We are a brunch restaurant and bakery and bar in North Scottsdale. And a lot of people know me from Sugar Jam Cookies, Sugar Jam Bake Shop and Bistro, the Sugar Jam ice cream trailer, a bunch of things. But all things Sugar Jam is me.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, beautiful ladies, for being here. You guys are some lucky men to have this
Yes,
room full of
absolutely.
gorgeous women. I'm Christy Austin, yoga instructor, better known as Coco's sister.
Tim.
Not better known as.
Awesome.
Yes.
I'm Tim, and on the ones and twos we have.
Your boy Floyd. What's up?
Let's get it.
Let's get it. You know what? Hold up. First of all, we're gonna redo Roberta's intro. That wasn't enough for me.
No, because I've
This
seen the intro
woman,
BPI.
this woman has
Girl.
way too much going on for her to give CEO. I need all of that. Give us a rundown. Redo.
We need all the
We
tea.
want-
So, I'm Roberta. I'm the owner and founder, philanthropist. I have a nonprofit, Four Angels Foundation. I also own Two Hands Corn Dogs in Mesa. It's a franchise.
That's cool.
Awesome.
And I have a Sun Behavioral Health, which is for detox facility for clients with addiction, people with mental health. And then I have an outpatient clinic also in the Valley that I just launched.
Awesome. See, hey.
Yeah,
That was a good redo.
We needed all.
Because you
we
were
need all
like
that.
trying to downplay. Like, okay.
Yeah. No, you ain't getting out. You ain't getting out. So we are very honored to have you, beautiful, achieved ladies, on Shoes Off Talk today. And what this is we're starting a 6-part series on Black culture, and this is the financial literacy, women in business segment of that 6-part series, where we talk about we talk to successful women and kind of gear the conversation toward our younger Black women and women that are aspiring to be in the entrepreneurial arena and also corporate America, and just really kind of let them know what's possible. I appreciate you guys coming in. So we're going to start the conversation off with Larville.
Hey, how you doing today? Doing all right.
Got any questions?
No, not yet. I'm just seeing where the conversation goes right now.
So, Roberta, we'll start with you. So, how did you get into behavioral health? What is the? I saw your ABC 15 thing. So let us know, like, it's real interesting how you got into the arenas that you are currently in.
Well, my parents were in it. Probably that's a good start. So, since the age of 10, my parents have owned behavioral health facilities. More so, DDD is what they did, adults and children. And they started their own, their first site where we live with the clients, right? So, to us growing up, my sister, my brother, and I, it was normal. It was part of life. You know, we ate with them, went on all outings with them, things like that. So that's where it really, really started. But I went off to college, and I was like, I'm going to do pre-med. I have a degree in biology, and I wanted to go in a whole different direction. And then the kids came, and life started. So I was trying to figure out, I want a balance of, you know, kind of making my own money, my own hours, flexibility. And then I was trying to figure out what I really wanted to do. And then I had a whole conversation with my father one night. And he was like, why don't you do what I do? And I was like, that's a lot of work, you know? And I just remember, though, every time he used to go on vacations and things like that, he'll call me when I was in college, because I went to ASU, to come and take care of his business. So when I go, I outline all these things that's wrong. And I'm like, oh my God, you need to fix all kinds of stuff. Your staff is not doing this. And I was like pretty young. But I understood the business because I've been there and I've seen things that, you know, was happening. I was like, I'm not okay with that. So I'll give him a whole tally of things. And then he'll come back like, I didn't ask you to do. I was like, well, like, you have to like fire this person. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do that. So that was really like, it didn't really dawn or click, you know, at that time. But then when I was having a conversation with him, he was like, you always want to serve. Remember you wrote that whole paper when you were in school about serving, things like that. And I was like, yeah, but I don't know if I want to do that. It just seems so challenging. But then I grew up in Ghana, West Africa. And I saw so many things. Of course, poverty, you know, was just very different. But it was a lot of love in our home, right? So, and it was like I had uncles with mental health. But people just thought they were just crazy. Mm-hmm. You know, like, they're just crazy people. Or they have voodoo. Has something happening to them. Mm-hmm. So, but then it wasn't that. It was mental health. And, like, nobody really knew, you know, what was going on with them. So, all in all those events and different things came about that I thought more about it. And I started exploring different businesses. So I went to different orientations in Arizona in the healthcare. Like there's, you know, assisted living, there's DDD, there's like shelters for little kids, CPS kids. So I was like, Then I went to behavioral health, and I met this lady named Elaine, and she was like 72 years old, and she worked there. And I had a whole conversation with her, and I sat there, and that conversation, and then I went back and just kind of took my notes, and I was like, you know what? Based on everything that I just heard from her, learned in my orientation, I think this is the direction, because it wasn't just having a facility. It was more so, you know, behavioral health is about changing. You know, you can improve people. You can do that. You can do therapy. You can, you know, change your medication, alter things. You can try to fix them, you know, recovery, you know, substance abuse, addiction, all kinds. It covers everything, you know, depression. So all the co-occurring disorders. So I was, you know, it was more intriguing, and to me it was more challenging. And so that's how it really came about. And I always want to be a business owner, but I also wanted to do something that I can invest in, serve people, and make money and support myself while doing it at the same time. I remember Oprah saying that on her show. You can have best of both worlds. You can help people, and you can still make a living. And I think that was my whole thing. How do I do something I want to serve, but I also want to have flexibility, take care of my children, and create something.
So you really were born into this stuff.
Yes, literally.
Do you see yourself doing anything else? Or
Right.
what?
You know,
Or what's
I'm
next?
what's next? I think, right now I have a couple projects going on, and I need to just kind of make sure that I finish those. I'm doing the detox facility for more crisis stabilization that I'm working on right now. I'm almost done with the building, so that's the next thing. And then I'm expanding off the treatment facilities. I have 13 in the Valley, and the goal is to get to 20. So, and then I'm actually working on a second location for the Two Hands.
Oh.
Yeah, in the West Valley. The first one is in the East Valley, so this one's going to be in the West Valley. So I'm doing the second location, and then the outpatient clinic, which we started already. I have a team for that. We've been working it slowly. So I think, you know what, right now, real estate, I love real estate, and what I do allows me to own real estate with it, so it kind of, I have best of both worlds too with that, because it's about assets too. So I think that right now, I'm probably just going to focus on those things.
A lot.
There's somebody always calls me.
That's a lot already.
She said,
when do you
right
sleep?
now, I'm going to focus on those. Well, ma'am, I don't know if you have any room for nothing else right now. So what would you tell a young woman if she had interest of getting into the field that you were in? Where would she go to get started? Or how would you recommend her get?
Okay, so first, you see, this is the thing. A lot of people always call my office and they want to set up a meeting to talk to me, right? And then I've had a couple conversations with some people, and then they just think you just do something just to, make money. But for me, I always tell people it's about the process. So some people don't want to do the process of this. Like, I literally, from 2005, I started the journey, but I already lived in an environment with the clients and my family. So I was very comfortable in that kind of setup, right? But I also wanted to educate myself, not so much of just like, oh, I just want to create something. I wanted to understand the people. I wanted to learn better, leadership skills. I take a lot of Maxwell classes. And his work, I do trainings. I take my staff, we do trainings, and then I also went to a lot of facilities in the Valley. I used to drive all the way to like Flagstaff, Bisbee. Like I was everywhere.
Were you
I used to go to
benchmarking, or-
like Yuma, CPS. Child and Family out there, CFS. I used to go out there. I used to travel like literally all the time because I wanted to learn the game. And so what I'm saying, like, people just want a shortcut, but they don't really educate. I went to orientations like 6-7 times. Sat there and like Bader Elaine. I used to sit in the state office like all the time. Like it was like my home. So when I put the kids in daycare, I'll go learn. That was what I did. I did the legwork, and then I learned about the different plans and the contracts and the time frames and things like that. I studied the whole thing. You have to study your craft. You have to understand your craft. Because a lot of people are out there, they're just like buying policies. Right? Right now, you know what's going on with Access, right?
Oh,
Everybody knows? Okay. So that's behavioral. And I'm CARF accredited, so my standards are higher than the state level, right? So it's like JACO. So CARF is for residential. Most of the time, people get accredited. So it allows you to work with private insurances and things like that. So the state doesn't really license. They license me, but they don't come on an annual basis to my facilities. CARF is once every 3 years. So that's my standard. So it's a really high standards is what we hold. Okay, so I will always say, study your craft. Learn and master what you want to do. Don't take the shortcut. People want to buy policies. They try to set up a facility. They get a license. It sits there for like forever. They don't get no clients. That's how it works.
They just get money from the state.
They don't get the clients.
So that's the reason why we've gone through this influx of all of these behavior facilities that are being closed.
Yep.
I had a friend of mine hit me up the other day. It's like, hey, I need a job. I was like, well, what was you doing? He was like, I was working at my guy's behavioral health center, and they came in and just shut it down. I was like, and I remember a few years ago where everybody was trying to get houses,
Buying homes to
buying homes to open these different facilities.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, all of y'all can't be just interested in behavioral health like that to
and
where
then
you
through
just
the PPP thing, it just exploded more.
exactly.
So it exploded more through COVID and PPP money, and then all of a sudden everybody is behavioral therapists or having a facility and a group home, and all of a sudden they're just blowing up and they're coming into, especially this state for Arizona, it was like this, infiltrated with them. And I live in California, or I live back in Chicago, but my facility is here. And every time we turn around, when I talk to people, oh yeah, my facility is in Mesa. I'm like, what is going on here? How do all these people have all this experience to open up these places, and then now here we are, they're unvetted, they're on this, they're on that, and now they're getting shut down for the illegal processes that they were doing. And it kind of hurts for someone such as yourself, who has been in the game, since you basically were born into it, but has put in so much legwork to do what you're doing the right way. The right way. And it hurts, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's like you have to do that much more and that much to spread yourself away from that nonsense because of the fact that these people are doing all the shortcuts for a short-term gain, so.
Yeah, there's a huge crackdown right now that's happening. They closed a lot of facilities, a lot of outpatient clinics. It's still every Friday there's a new list that comes out.
Every
Friday.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
every
crazy.
Friday there's a new list of new places, vendors that are residential outpatient clinics is usually. So what happened is that a lot of people, when you can't get a contract, you still want to run a business, right? So the only only population that you can work with without a contract is the Native Americans. So there's 7 payer sources in Arizona that hold all the money through the state fund. And so luckily I have all 7. And then, but a lot of people come in, they've been around, they've only had 1 or 2 or none or 3. Or they just, they stop because their network is full. So because of that, the only population that is straight billing through the state without any contract is the Native Americans. So when people are opening up the facilities, people started fighting over natives. So we're going to the reservation to pick them up so that they can have a business. That's why so many people. And then, you can see a black person just like me, that somebody will go on the system and change them to a native.
Oh my goodness! I didn't
They
know
are
that.
not native relation,
money.
nothing. But like we've had people send us packets, and it's like a black person, straight black, and it's like Native American, payer source. We're like, no, there's no way. But it got changed in other facilities so that they can, service them because they don't have contracts.
But again, those are for
So
short-term
the
gain.
contracts are with Magellan,
Yeah.
Banner, UHC, all those people.
But it's just like Dana said, it's like it puts so much pressure on you as a legit business owner that now, even though you have always maintained a higher standard to people that don't look like us, now we have to come on and like do that extra to make up for the peg that everybody else that looked like us knocked us back. And
Well, like you said, to distance yourself from those bad players
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
so what, with the closure of these facilities, what does that mean for you? Do they shuffle these people to you, or they move them around?
Unfortunately, it's more business for us. But I don't have a marketer. I haven't had a marketer.
You haven't needed one.
No, I don't have a marketer. It's just word of mouth has grown my company, and reputation matters in this game. And I've been around, like I said, I started the first site got opened in 2007. I used to do children. It was hell. And I went through a lot. And in 2013, I started the adult facilities. And I think that when you work hard at what you do, you're gonna be here. If you're here for the short-term games, like you said, and that's your focus, and you also have to have a passion for what you do. You actually genuinely have to care about the people that you serve. That's the extension of Four Angels that I opened, a nonprofit to help my clients that are leaving my facilities, because I was always paying for stuff, so how can I get a community to help me? help set them up after, treatment. So, and that's what, that's what's important. So when people just focus on the short term, cutting corners, trying to cheat the system, utilizing human beings to do that, it doesn't work. I've seen so many people come and go. So many people.
Well, Grandma say
It's
God doesn't
crazy.
like ugly. So.
Yeah, pretty
It'll
much.
come. It'll come.
But I think the team that you build around you, I have
Definitely.
people that have been with me for 10 years, my key players, 9 years. I'm a person that look at loyalty, commitment to my company. They have high school diplomas but make six-figure with me. I take care of my people. So these are the type of things.
Yeah.
I build, if I'm the only player on the team that knows what I'm doing, it's a problem.
Right.
So
I like that.
the people around me, I need to build more of me around me. That's how I think. So I have players that if I'm not, they think like me. They see how I will see something. That's it.
Well,
That's
and
what's
and,
making it.
and your business and your employees are basically an extension of you. Is as a business owner, the goal is to get your business to where it's running efficient and proficient, even if that means that when you're not there, you have the peace of mind that your employees are an extension of you. And like you said, it all starts with getting your people to buy into the vision.
That's it.
And the vision isn't something that's right there in front of you. It's what's down the road. It's like faith, having the the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen.
Faithful our work is dead.
Yep. And it's important, like you said, it's important to build that relationship with your employees. The other thing is, like, with building that relationship, it also opens up those lines of communication where people feel comfortable coming to you to tell you stuff,
Yeah.
even if it's stuff that you might not want to hear.
Yes. Oh yes. No, that's truly
Yeah.
That's truly legal.
I hear a lot of
it's,
stuff.
It's important. It's important because, like you said, you hear a lot of stuff. It's important because there still has to be that fine line to where I'm still the owner, I'm still the boss, I'm still the CEO.
Still
But-
ultimate decision maker.
Exactly. But I want you to feel comfortable because we can figure it out together. How you said is and it's just a sign of a great leader. I heard something on social media and they said that there's leaders and rulers. Most people that think they're leaders are really rulers.
Yeah.
Rulers rule with something to gain. There has to be something for them to gain. Leaders lead knowing that there's a possibility that they will not have anything to gain. And I always say this when I led, people that I have always managed, I'm not managing you to be with me for the rest of your career. I'm managing you to do what I do. And to be able to take this in any arena that you go in and be proficient and good at what you do. So it's so important as a leader to set that example. And that's a perfect segue into Miss
Vicki Laurie Williams. No.
Yeah, so we approach this thing and we talk about the entrepreneurship, but there's other avenues and other ways to get yourself to the top, so to speak. We see it on social media where everybody want to be a boss.
Yeah.
Not everybody even knows what the definition of a boss is.
Exactly.
It's such a misused phrase.
Yeah.
Lord.
But tell us about your route and your how you got to where you are, and what do you tell inspiring women that inspire to be where you're at?
I'm similar. It's interesting. So I am a German and Nigerian young lady. Back in the day, I was actually destined for an orphanage in Germany, and my parents adopted my sister, who Tim also knows, and myself. They were adopting me, and through their interpreter found out about my sister. But they always taught us to be leaders. My dad was a non-commissioned officer, so an enlisted a soldier, but definitely a natural leader. And our mother was a natural leader as well. So we grew up in a household with a strong father and a strong mother. People were always more afraid of my mom, like guys that were interested in us, than they were of my dad. But they taught us early on to serve in the community. They would have us volunteering with them from the time I can, as long as I can remember. So as when I grew up and went away to college, and was always a leader. Tim knows because I was involved in student government in high school and a brainiac and just involved in all sorts of different things creatively and academically. But when I went away to college, I came here to Arizona and it was the same kind of thing. I'm very much involved civically. I'm a Delta, so I belong to Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and have been their social action chair in the past. And
That's a shameless plug.
shut up. No, it's not. My chapter's not running a line this coming spring. The other two alumni chapters are probably. But we were always taught to serve, and we were taught that servant leadership was important because, again, it's not what you can gain. It's not about creating followers because we live in this world with followers online. I get tired of hearing about followers. I want to create leaders. And when I go out now as a representative of American Express doing these diversity recruitment events, I was just at National Black MBA not too long ago, and I was at our Grace Hopper convention for women in technology. And I always tell the young people to think about the long term. Because right now they're always thinking about the bag. And I was there where they were. When I graduated from college, I let them know I actually turned down a role from American Express because another company back in '93 was offering me $8,000 more annually for my salary. And that was a lot of money back in '93. $8,000 paid my student loans off early. But I didn't think about opportunity. And while I was at that other company, they weren't headquartered here. They didn't have a huge presence here. And I got promoted every year and a half, and I was able to become a people leader early on, but I hit a glass ceiling. And now I'm at American Express now. I avoided joining them back in the day, but I've been there for 14 years now, and I have been able to lead people and create so many leaders in my network. And it makes me proud to see someone who was an entry-level employee under me who now has surpassed me in their career path. And they still have good connections with me. And if there's anything I want to do, I know I just need to ask them. But I've had lots of opportunities within the company to lead in our employee relationship groups. I've been able to run our campaigns for our charitable giving within the community. And that really reminded me, when I was able to do that, of the things my parents taught me. So I got divorced about 9 years ago, and I went full head forward, not just doing sorority things, but seeking to join boards because I was a poor little black girl. My dad was enlisted. I knew nothing about serving on boards. But this is how I know you, because I was at the BPI function, and when we were giving your award, I remember when you were there speaking so eloquently about your businesses. So I'm currently on the African American Women's Giving and Empowerment Circle, which is a part of the Arizona Community Foundation, and they have a giving budget that's over $2 billion for the state of Arizona. They have various giving circles, African American women, Asian women, Hispanic and Latin origin women. It's just lots of different kind of groups that are focused on that diverse group that they represent. So we give away grants to Black women-owned businesses for up to $10,000 per grant, and we just went through that whole process. So we're going to be making decisions in the next couple of weeks about who we're going to be giving grants to for this cycle. I'm also on the board for Elevate Phoenix, which is a leadership and educational nonprofit that focuses on the Phoenix Union High School District, where our graduation rates there were at under 50%, so they were falling in at 48%. And the students who are able to take the courses with Elevate Phoenix go on to graduate from high school at a 98% rate. They go on to either college or go to the military, or they go on to a technical school, but they all leave high school with a plan and scholarships, and they can go to college if they need to. So that's important for me, because I always remember I could have grown up in Germany in an orphanage because somebody didn't want a little brown baby in their family. And then about a year and a half ago, I was asked to join the Herberger board and just leading things there with our development events and just being engaged. And they saw my leadership skills, and they just asked me if I would be vice chair this year or co-vice chair, and then next year take over the chairman of the board position. So I was shocked, and they reminded me, no, there's a lot you do. And I'm just very grateful because God has always protected me. He opens doors that need to be open. He closes doors that sometimes hurt when they're closed, but then I look back and I see what happened to that area or whatever. And I'm like, thank you for closing that door because you protected me.
Some doors that we can't close.
Hello, because we can't see
That-
in the natural, right? We don't know. But yeah, recently I was actually at a different philanthropy event, and I met the one of the founders of the Leadership Consortium here in town, and just struck up a conversation. Hadn't seen the man in like 20 years, and he asked me, if I knew anybody who might be able to help. I'm like, I can help, and I helped run his project. So we brought together 4 or 5 different delegations of African Americans here in Arizona, and went to the Congressional Black Caucus this year in D.C. and everybody, Kim Covington, people have gone like 6-7 years, said this was the best year as far as the organization. And I'm like, yeah, I ran that project.
There you go. There
But they
you
were
go.
but they were very kind, and I think sometimes we downplay the impact that we have. And for me, it's just it's a bunch of just little things that one thing leads to another thing, which leads to another thing. And I like to say now I am a law school dropout. I've got my master's degree, and I got that when my kids were in their teen years, and my kids are all, in their late 20s now. And I went back to law school recently, and I did well my first few classes. But I just decided I'm gonna drop out because I decided I don't need it. I mean, I'm going to retire in about 5 years, and I really don't need a law degree to do the things I want to do. So I'm okay to say I'm a law school dropout.
I'm on my last couple episodes of Suits.
He didn't need it. No, I'm just teasing.
I'm a lawyer too. I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
I know
So
how to talk like one too.
yeah.
But man, it's the common denominator that I'm hearing from you and also Roberta is the fact that there are no shortcuts.
No.
There are no shortcuts to this. There's no get rich schemes. There's no, you can't get in these arenas and do the things that you guys have done and achieve the things that you've achieved and just be in it just for the dollar. It
have to
cannot
put in the work.
And I do motivational speaking, and I tell kids all the time is if money is your motivator, you will forever go unfulfilled because the goalpost is going to always move. It's got to be something else. I said, when you're doing something that's your passion, like you said, you was like, before I know it, this and that and this and that, and we don't realize the things that we've achieved is because we're not in it for the attaboys. We're not in it for, it's what we do. And whether we ourselves recognize, people are watching us. And it's always at those moments where we feel like, is what I'm doing worth it? And you'll have that person come to you and just give you that word of encouragement saying that, you know what, it came to my mind because a guy reached out to me probably about 2 months ago. And I know him. We've had conversations and I know him. But he's like, Tim, I've been following you probably for the last 2 or 3 years and everything that you've been doing. He was like, I just want to tell you, you changed my life. And I've gotten compliments before, but that hit different.
Yeah.
That really hit different. And I think, I say this all the time, is like, we're not here. This life is not our own. Everything we do is not about us. It's about everybody that's coming after us. That's why our historical leaders, black leaders, were so successful at what they did, is that they knew what the consequences of what they were doing. And that's one of the things that we miss now, is that we don't have the black leaders that know what the consequences are and still are willing to take those chances and those risks. We live in a day and age now, if there's nothing in it for them, then we don't have them. And man, I appreciate you guys and everything that you have done thus far. I know you guys have got a lot more going on, but we got to pass this rock.
On to the next.
Look, and they give me a hard time, y'all. I gotta set this up first. I gotta set this up. I gotta set this up. So this is my sister. Her and her husband, my sister and brother. I love them to death. I feel like we've been knowing each other for 30 plus years. Their place is my hangout, and I literally, I ain't gonna say that because I don't, that's my hookup. But I'm so proud of them and where they've come from and where they're at this point. And it literally, I just told somebody this today. I said, when you walk, I don't care what kind of week you had. When you walk in Sugar Jam, it's all gone.
Yeah.
Like
It's a party.
It's a party.
It is.
It's a party.
It is done. Like you may walk out them doors and you may pick that baggage back up, but while you inside them doors, the world has stopped and it's nothing but a party right now. And I gave her this compliment a couple weeks ago. I said, we have a lot of black owned businesses when it comes to restaurants. And I've been out here since 94, 95. So I've seen them go, I've seen them come. The one thing that Sugar Jam has nailed is that there's a lot of places that you either get a vibe and not so good food, or you get great food and no vibe. They've got them both. And so, after this introduction, no further ado, let's pass the rock over to Miss Dana Dumas.
All right. Woo, thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a long journey, you know. A lot of times, you know, people think, you know, it's a testament to both the ladies here. They don't think the work is there. Like, we live in a society now, especially for this generation that's been basically raised on social media. They think everything is like in their hand on the phone, and it's like real easy, and they look up and that they should have, right? Regardless if they finish their education or not, they should have. Like, they think they need to be at this place in their life, and they're 28 or they're 30 now, and I need to be here. But you have to look back at what is the work that you put in to be where you want to be. And so when I talk to people all the time, I'm, you know, I think they misstep that this is not an overnight success or overnight thing. And that there's still hard work that is done behind the scenes that people don't see all the time. The grueling hours that I may be there until 1 or 2, because as an owner, there are things when you walk in the room, that is out of place right there. Because you have an OCD about your stuff, and about what you see. And you know that basket should not be there. It should be 3 inches to the left. But why didn't they pick up that paper on the floor? Now you know y'all could walk in this. You know, those are those things. And so when you are in your place, next thing you know, it's like I didn't plan to be here all night, and now it's 1 in the morning. What happened? But it's an endless passion. It's a desire and it's a drive. Right? So at the end of the day, I didn't set out to be a restaurateur. I grew up, I like to eat. You know, my grandma's cooking. My daddy's cooking. Always was good. I always loved to go out to eat. Me and my mom, sometimes on Saturdays, would go shopping with my aunt in Manhattan. And then we would stop to our favorite, you know, bakeries and stuff. And I love my sweets. I didn't think that I was going to end up being a restaurateur. My grandfather, his family was from Tulsa, Oklahoma. They were part of the Black Wall Street, you know, that happened. And so with me being the first grandchild and a female, there was no talk about me saying I want to do anything else other than I was going to college, right? And you're going to go to college and you are going to be an educator. So, okay, but I want to, no, that could be later. But you're getting this degree. Okay. So that was the thing. So when I graduated from high school, I really was in love with fashion. I was really in love with doing hair and makeup. And so he told me that's a hobby and you're going to school for education. So anyway, I went to college and I shot straight through, and I have 2 degrees in education. I taught for a year and I was like, I don't think this is totally for me. And so at that point, my first job out of teaching was I was a junior planogrammer for the Corporation of Toys R Us.
Okay, tell us what a planogrammer is.
So a planogrammer is a people that design the infrastructure of the stores. So when you go into stores, even if it's a Target for retail, it's the way that the store is designed and the products that's put on shelves. So you work with the buyers in regards to the categories to make sure that the products are going to fit on shelves and how they're going to be how they're going to be put. Like, is it in cap, like at the end of the cap, and how you're going to see that product they want you to see first before you get into the aisle. What's placed in when you're getting ready to check out? Like, what are the things that are around there? And the gondolas, that's the shelving that's built and all that stuff. So I learned how to use AutoCAD to actually design the infrastructure of stores. At that point, I kind of wanted to become a buyer. And, you know, my guy that was my manager in the department, he approved me to go for interviews and stuff like that. And when I didn't get the position as an assistant buyer, he pulled me into the office one day, and I never forget him. His name was Gary Meltzer, and he said, you know, you are young, you are super intelligent, you're just highly educated, you're degreed. I don't want to burst your bubble. I just don't know that this format at this company is allowing you to go through that ceiling. And although you're great, it's just, I think there needs to be a corporate cultural change here. And if it suits you to, you know, spread your wings and it takes you out of here, then it is what it is. I totally get it. So with that being said, I was able to get my foot in the door for Federated Merchandising Group, which is Macy's corporate, as people know, you know, Macy's. But I worked for the corporation, and so I became the merchandising assistant for men's tailored pants and shoes, which you'll know, like private labels like Charter Club and Alfani and stuff like that. So I did the strategic plans. I worked on what was happening for Buy Week, setting up Buy Week. We did Bryant Park, so like, you know, Fashion Week for New York was just like about a couple weeks ago. I was very involved with Fashion Week for Macy's, and then what we would do is look at what's coming down the runway and stuff like that. And then we would make alternate, basically copies of like the suits and stuff. Like Donna Karan has a suit, but then we're making one that's very similar but more affordable for the masses in the private brand. So that's kind of what I did. And then September 11th happened. And then at that time, it was kind of a big change in life. I was newly married, and then we were commuting from New Jersey into New York, and it was just becoming a nuisance and getting into the city and what the city was really about at that time. And we had made the decision to move to Scottsdale, Arizona, because my parents said when they retire or pseudo retire, they were moving here. And this was for years while I was in college. They kept coming out on vacation. I came out to see it, and I said, yeah, this is nice. And then after September 11th, kind of solidified it. So we came out in 2002. First, my husband and I moved out here, and then my parents came in August. They brought their house. We watched the house, and then they went back to Jersey to sell their house. And then they were here in December of 2002. So we've all been here. And subsequent to that, we've had more family and friends that have moved here, so which is a really cool thing. And then in the market of Arizona, I actually worked in the NASCAR industry. I worked for a company called Action Performance. We were the first company that had the rights to design and make die-cast replicas of the NASCAR, a 1/24th and 1/64 scale die-cast cars. So I was there. I was account executive with them, and then was promoted to be a senior account manager. And then I held an account for QVC and for the Coca-Cola team. So with that being said, I was actually helping to produce a show for QVC for race fans only. And so I traveled the race circuit for NASCAR pretty extensively. I had to secure driver appearances and make sure that all merchandise was there, ready to be on air. There were prototypes to be sold. And it gave me a chance to really get into the NASCAR culture, kind of understand it. And, you know, it's not exactly what you think. It was I didn't feel out of place being in NASCAR. Let me put it that way. I felt like I was part of that family, and I had been around for a long time. And this was me even going into garages like the pit and all this other stuff. And so my analysis for that sport is, it actually is a very family orientated sport, and it's more for you than you think it's not for you, if that makes sense, right? The only reason why I wasn't still with them is because the company was sold and moved the headquarters to North Carolina. And so I transitioned my position to the Concord office, and I just gracefully did not want to take the position to move to North Carolina. I liked being out here. The next venture in my life, I was worked for a company called ICE, International Cruise and Excursions, and I was the director of business development for the luxury vacation rental market. And so what we know now as Airbnb a long time ago was HomeAway and VRBO. I was on the luxury side of that, so I traveled pretty extensively. This is before the time I had children. I literally would be home probably a good month out of a month. I used to be home maybe a good week, maybe 2 weeks out of a whole month collectively, because I was a road dog. I would be anywhere between Outer Bank Islands in North Carolina, or I would be in Aspen, or I'd be really nice places in Maui. I would be a lot of places, but I was working with the property management firms that manage luxury vacation properties and seeding them with benefits that would benefit the owner and also design for the renter. And with that being said, that career was good, but then once I was pregnant with my twin boys, life after having my kids, corporate did not treat me the way I should have been treated after I sealed multi-million dollars of deals. So I did for that company, made about $32 million for them over the course of my time of almost 6 years being with them, to the tune of me now I'm not as worthy anymore, and also being an African American female. So with that being said, I turned towards myself and kind of figured out, like, what is it that I want to do? And one of my girlfriend's aunts, I had catered her wedding with all the desserts, had said, "Oh my gosh, where are these cookies from?" And she was like, "Dana made these cookies, and they were my special jam little cookies." And she says, "Well, there's no bakery that's out here in Arizona that has these cookies, and you should have your own cookie business." And I was like, we'll see. I just do them from time to time. And lo and behold, I worked for another company, and I literally almost ripped my hair out working for this company, because I was like, this doesn't do anything for me. It was a job. And I was responsible for 3,286 Starbucks stores in the Northeast corridor, but my whole team that I was responsible for was in LA, and my kids were barely one, and I was living out a hotel room in LA, going into their office, worried about a coffee, a brewer, a filtration system, and one of the 3,000 plus stores that I had to find servicemen to help and I was like, I was like, it's not my kids waking me up, or whatever. I'm being woke up by a bat phone, always connected to this laptop. This is not for me. And once I realized this is not for me, then my light bulb went on and said, I have to give it a shot. I've always tinkered around with doing things entrepreneurially, but never took the risk to step out on my own 2 feet. And it was something of empowerment when I looked at my little babies' faces and said, what could ever happen, right? At least I tried. And so I did. While I was still working at that company, I turned around to them and told them, I said, "Hey, I don't think that this position is really for me, because this is a job, this is not a career. I will do this for you. I will not work for you, but I will be a consultant for you. So this will be my rate to be a consultant for you until you find the right person that needs to be in the LA office, because it shouldn't be a commute from, Scottsdale to there." And the VP kind of knew, he's like, "I kind of knew you were that one." And he said, "But I'll take it." I said, "That's fine." So for about the next 90 days, I was a consultant. And during that 90-day time frame, I figured out the name of what I wanted as my company. And then I had to figure out, how would anybody know about me? There's millions and millions of websites out there. And I need to have one, but I can't just sell cookies on the website. I don't even have any logistics on how I'd ship something. And I said, okay, I have to be local. And I researched what farmers markets were around here. And I found out there was at that time only 4 markets. And I found out about the Phoenix Public Market. And I went down there, I walked the market, and I found out who I needed to talk to and how do I get in. And I had samples with me, and showed them my samples, let them taste them. They were like, And they said, "This is all the credentials that you need. You need to get in." So I went ahead, I started my business. I made sure I had my name registered. I made sure that I had my tax ID, all the things I needed, my business account, my EIN, all those things, my insurances, everything that I needed to have. And I was also a part of the first 500 people ever to be on the Arizona cottage law that allowed you to bake non-hazardous foods from home. And so I turned my kitchen into a facility to be able to produce health-wise for people out there to buy my stuff. And that's how I started. So December 2011 was the start of Sugar Jam Cookies. and I had about 3 varieties when I started, but everything was hearts because that was me. And then
Still is.
yes, but then about a year or so in, as I connected with people in the farmers market, it was at a time that they were only about 2 to 3 years removed from the collapse of the economy with the housing market.
Oh, 2009,
Right?
okay.
So you had displaced people that used to be CEOs and directors in businesses, right, corporations, but found their passion through the devastation. They may have lost a lot of material, but then they gained who they were and wanted to do. And it was the time for them to strike. And I networked with a lot of them. And I found a solace in being in the market and building friends and networks. And lo and behold, within my first year, I was now as the market started to grow, I was in about 5 markets around the valley. My parents, my in-laws who moved here, were helping with watching our twins while I would be at home
I'm a
making.
twin.
Oh, you are? Yeah. And so while I'm making dough at home and doing this and rolling out and making the jams and all sort of stuff, I was able to construct a schedule for myself to be out in the market while my kids are being watched. And I also had the pleasure while some of the days that I wasn't producing, I was able to be home and I'm with them, right? But then I found myself within 2 years in 7 markets. And this is where the younger people don't understand the grit. The grit is that I'm a young mom of twin boys. They're about 2 years old. I'm downtown Phoenix on Saturday morning. I'm downtown Phoenix on Wednesday night. On Thursdays, I would be in Fountain Hills at their market all day from 9 until 5. On an alternate Thursday, I would be in Intel in Chandler at one of their units. I would leave from one of their units at about 1:30 to 2 o'clock when their lunchtime was over. I had my car already packed up with the next set. I would go have lunch somewhere in Chandler. I would set my alarm clock because I would take a nap in my car, and then I would drive further out to East Mesa to the Super Farm off of Haas Road at the dairy farm, and I would do their farmers market that would start at 5 and would be over by 8:30. By the time I wrapped everything up, I would drive all the way back to Desert Ridge, which is in North Phoenix, about 45-minute, almost an hour drive. And I would get home and it'd be almost 11 o'clock at night. And that was on alternating Thursdays. And then on Sundays, I would also be in the market that used to be at the waterfront. It used to be an art festival at the waterfront in Scottsdale. And I used to be there selling my stuff. And once a month, after that would be done, I would be packed up. My husband would bring the twin boys and we would have a quick dinner together. And he would bring me more of my product, fill up the car, and I would turn around to the Sheraton, and I was with HB because I was with the poetry, and I was I was the cookie girl at the poetry reading, and no one realized I had been out all day from 9 in the morning, and now I'm there. I freshened up at the hotel, and now I'm there ready to serve until he was over almost at 12 o'clock at night, packing everything up, getting home almost by 1 in the morning. So when people talk about, this is overnight, it's not overnight. I can't tell you, I can go on for longer to tell you how many other things that I've done and all these festivals that I've done and the Women's Expo and Ostrich Festival and barbecue comps and I'm the dessert person and all these other crazy things, but I put in the work. By the time I said, okay, I can't stand looking at these rolling racks in my house anymore, we were like at 2013 and I ran into a friend of mine that I used to work with in NASCAR and he said, hey, my partner actually has a bakery, a shop, but he needs like people to sublease or whatever. And I said, ooh, that sounds great. How far away is it? Honestly, God was looking out. It was like 10 minutes from my house. And I was able to step away from my home. I changed myself to be licensed as a commercial baker, brought all my own commercial equipment, signed a sublease, and that was where my business started to take a turn. Now I was into larger scale markets, and I started to listen to the food truckers. I was like, you're doing 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you're making this. I said, wait a second now, I'm busting my hump doing this, this. Okay, let me call. So what I did is go on to the food truckers, how they were posting their calendars and where they were going to be. I was calling to those events that they were at and asking, could a market vendor like myself be a part of your event and for how much? Then I negotiated my rate because most of them didn't have a market vendor. So once I was there for a fraction of a food trucker, and I would set up my whole booth like a store. I put down green grass. I had black and white with yellow, everything. People like, this is a store. Chandelier hanging from my tent, all that. I was holding lines like the food trucks. When I did street eats, when they would do it here, it was kind of new at the Salt Road Fields, and you have to turn in like the coins and stuff like that. I was walking with my husband's helping me. We had buckets turning in, and then that thing's going, and they're like looking at me like, "Listen, she sell cookie? What's going on here?" Listen,
Selling cookies.
I was
What's in them cookies?
Listen,
What's in them cookies?
listen. It's blue magic. I'm listen. I had it in there, and I'm selling it, right? And then I started to expand my line. So I started expanding to pies and all this other stuff. And then that's when my money started getting bigger. And then I said, okay. Then the guy started talking about he having trouble with this space and something with money. I said to my husband, "Woo, we got to get out of here. I don't want no marshal coming here, locking stuff up. Because I'm paying you my good money for you to have these doors open. What I'm doing, I'm out. Got to look for me another place." And I looked, and I happened to find a place in the Scottsdale Air Park because the process there was really for me to be a production because I was used to be on the street. And so it was like my husband was like, "Well, it has a little restaurant to it." I said, "I'm not looking for no restaurant. I want a restaurant. I want a cafe. I just want to produce my stuff and be on the street." He said, "Yeah, but maybe in time." Okay, cool. So I got to my first location, and that was called Sugar Jam Bake Shop and Bistro. And I was in the North Scottsdale Air Park, and that was September 2014 when I had my grand opening. And I opened up with me doing my bakery and also having just light sandwiches for breakfast and lunch. And next thing you know, as we sped along, I launched my trailer, and my little bakery trailer was Sugar Jam Bake Shop and Bistro trailer. And then I would be at the store during the week, and on Friday nights I would be either at the Gilbert before the lot developed across the street from where Lolo's is here, and there used to be a dirt lot right there. That used to be the food truck roundup. I was a part of that food truck roundup. So I would be out in Gilbert, and then on every first Friday, my husband would come to the restaurant, pick up everything with the tent and everything, and he would just tell his job that he had to take his son to the doctor. He would actually leave and go to First Friday. So my husband would be at First Friday downtown Phoenix in our spot, selling everything that me and I had one employee at that time, everything that they got to sell, and I had all my stuff. And so I would be out with the trailer in Gilbert, and he would be down there. And then alternating Fridays, I would either be Gilbert or I would be in Peoria at the sports complex with the food truck roundup. And I still had the bistro going on, but what I was doing is trying to attract the customer to let them know I'm only one of 1% of the food truckers that actually have a brick and mortar. And being in the Scottsdale Air Park is kind of weird because that's very industrial. There's a lot of corporations and small mom and pop companies, a lot of car guys, and a lot of industrial. So not to know that this is really to the public. So I'm trying to get people there and build that business. And of course, through my time, 2016, I started to get tired running the streets, and I said, a lot of these events is wearing me out. And so what I did, instead of paying to be a part of those events, I took that money, and there's a paid side to Yelp. So that paid side to Yelp is what I actually utilize to market my business, right? To put me in front of more people. We then ended up being SEO'd because I had like sugar and jam, sugar jam cookies, sugar jam baked, sugar jam baked. So all these different things with sugar jam, whatever else. It needs to be funneled in. So having that SEO'd and putting that money towards that, and then the other paid side to Yelp and working with Yelp as a partner really started to explode the business. I then talked to my dad and said, hey, I want to really kind of expound on my menu, and I want to go with French toast that I grew up on. He was like, oh, okay. And then we started to do that, introduced to French toast. I used to start doing specials on my customers that I was getting for lunch. Instead of just doing sandwiches, I was now introducing mac and cheese. Or I would do a day that I'm doing roasted turkey and some collard greens and some of this, and doing it as specials for lunch. And all of a sudden, it started getting word of mouth. We had a sign turner going out. I would pay a company to take out some flyers to businesses that would, tick up another 20%. And stuff like that. But what I was doing is I was massaging my backyard, that demographic, right where I was, within 1 to 3 miles of me, massaging that backyard. And that helped me to sustain and also to grow. it led me to people ask me, "Do you cater?" Shoot, I hadn't, but I'm going to do it now. So let's go. So now all of a sudden, I'm, I know how to pivot. So with that being said, when they asked me to cater, oh, what type of event you having? How many people? What type of cuisine are you looking for? What's your theme? So then all of a sudden, I started doing that, and I was writing my bids, and then I was winning my bids, and I started catering. I got to the tune of catering from 25 people for offices to 50. Next thing you know, Vanguard is calling me. I'm in their rotation. I'm doing their like a floor, which is like 200 people. The next thing you know, I got JP Morgan Chase. Hey, we found out about you. Do you think you cater? I'm down in Tempe. I put in, by this time I've grown my staff. I have my chef and I have another cook in one building at JP Morgan Chase in Tempe. I'm in another one with another staff member. We're doing 700 people for the day. Wow. I'm doing Desert Financial. I'm doing them. And then I got with another guy, JK Kaiser. And he does this annual like big thank you, to his people that work for him and clients. And one year he was doing it at his house. So first they told me it was going to be about 300 people. I said, okay. 2 weeks before, 500 people.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I got 500 people. Okay, here I go. And the next thing you know, we did it with 680 people at his house.
That's great.
And I said, oh my goodness. You know what's happening?
Wow.
I did not run out of food.
Wow.
What people look at is you're not looking crazy and stressed, having enough people to do the job, and not running out of food. I had enough food there that I probably could have gone, this is for another 300 people. But I went ahead, he had leftovers, had this, that, and the other. And when we cleaned up, it looks like we were never there. What happened? Got that call, hey, next year we're going to be doing this event, but I think I've grown out of my house. I said, yes, you did. You grew out of your house. And then we were in another facility. It's the facility right there is borderline of South Scottsdale and Tempe. And it's the fire truck, like the fire museum. And they have a big facility, it's beautiful, beautiful. And that year we did 1,100 people on site.
Oh, wow.
Big grills out, big catering. The following year, 2019, October, it was the biggest one. And we did the Arizona Center. And we had 1,500 people. And Governor Ducey was there, spoke, ate, loved it. But it was 1,500 people. Ooh. So the capacity for what I can do in that life of me having the smaller place, but it allowed me to step into another world, right, in business. And then obviously COVID happened. With that happening, the timing of it was like, oh my gosh, I was just on such a roll here. What the heck?
Everybody.
Woo! I said, okay, but you know what I had to do? I had to sit down for a second and kind of look at my business. I looked at it in a couple ways. I looked at it as the location that I'm in, even though it's cute and quaint, it's not giving me enough visibility for everything that I'm doing. Because every time I set my number, my projection for my year, I'm not hitting that projection, but I'm doing a lot of work. So what's the problem here? It's not the fact of my product. It's not the fact of my service. It's not the fact that I can't bring in money. It's the fact of my location. And the timing of COVID was I was ending my lease. Like I had leased it for 3. I actually expanded my location, took on an expansion, did a renovation, and was there for another 3. And as COVID in 2020 was in that, time frame, I was actually coming to an end of my lease, and I was looking around. So prior to COVID, I actually started looking around, but the real estate market for commercial was just at its premium. It was ridiculous. And I was like, how am I going to do this? I'm small cheese. And so during COVID was the best. Because what people sometimes don't realize is that when devastation happens or things happen and markets turn down and all sorts of crazy, that's the best time to negotiate. So that was my best time to step out and negotiate on a deal. And so I was able to actually ascertain a location, actually a half a mile away from my original location. I did that deal on my own. I was able to make the terms the way I needed them to be for my business. And what I really wanted from the next landlords is not for you to be a landlord. I needed you to be a partner and understand my business. You don't have anybody in your location right now and hasn't been there. What I know I can bring to you is the following that I have right now, the numbers that I have right now, that you have 0, I got this. if you allow me enough time to scale up my business, I can double this number, and I think I will hit this. So I wrote that business plan to tell you what I can do, and they loved what I wrote down, and they thought it was very, like, this is really, really good, and it's actually very conservative, you know. But they knew me from being in that small spot, slinging those pies and cookies and sandwiches, and said if she could do that in that inconspicuous place in the Scottsdale airport for 6 years and still stand, when most businesses on street front, if they last a year, they're lucky, then that's the one. And so here we now are. January will be 3 years at the new location for Sugar Jam, the Southern Kitchen. And the first year that I was in for the plan that I wrote, I exceeded plan by 50%.
Wow.
That's awesome.
The second year that, as we got into the second year, I grew the business at almost 89.7% in growth. If you're looking over my first business, I have grown from my first business collectively in all 6 years. What I did in all 6 years together, I did in a year and 2 months out of my location here.
Oh wow.
So at the end of the day, the move was smart. And so what I built on Sugar Jam, as why I say what I say, is because Sugar Jam is the brand. A lot of times these people get into the business of restaurateurship. It's not really them being a restaurateur. They're in it for a money grab. What I see what's happening right now is the remnants of the PPP money, and they're in it for a money grab. What I grew into for Sugar Jam is I created that vibe. I created that. When I first opened my doors, we just played overhead music of people what I normally played in my first place, right? Oldies, goodies, some modern, good R&B. And then I said to myself, I am from New York. I like how my vibe is in New York, and I have family in Atlanta, and I like that, and I got friends in Houston, and I like that. And I got the place. But what I want people to understand is that when you walk through my doors, it's my vision, and you're walking into my house.
That's right.
And so at the end of the day, what you see that I've curated in Sugar Jam, it's off of my back. I didn't have, and being African American and a woman, I didn't have venture capital coming to me. I didn't have, no matter how good I was over there and how much I spoke into existence, like this is what I want to do, to people who I knew could be investors to me, didn't see me. They still saw me as the lady who makes my cookies and makes my food, but they didn't see me as the businesswoman that I should invest in. And so my proof to me and to myself is the fact that everything, when you walk into this multi-million-dollar facility that I built it on my back, right? And at the end of the day,
That's you.
sorry.
Shoes off talk, you liable to get anything.
So at the end of the day, there's a lot that goes into it. And as I'm there and I'm like, almost at 3 years in, I look at things and I look at things as what do I need to change? So people are like, but it looks fine. No, it's this time. I got to get these bar seats,
things.
man. These bar seats. Remember the bar seats that were there. They were good. They held up. You listen. We had people dancing, moving, standing on. It's time for me to change those, right? And then I look at the given space. When I look at space, I'm looking at how do I maximize my opportunity inside of these walls before I have to leap out, right? So I was able to increase what I used to see at 122 people. Right now, I'm at 150, and I can flex to 160 inside. And then in the patio, I could do about 25, 26. So I've maximized that number, right? And so when I keep looking at it, I always have to understand the pivot in the business. And that's when you see businesses get stagnant, when they start to fall off, or they just become old hat, or they just die because they don't understand how to pivot, because you have to understand times, you have to understand your demographic. You have to really be looking at your numbers. Numbers are the truth to any business, and to anything that you do in life is about those numbers. And so, like I say, right now we're in a situation where we get things that are opening up and they think they know the blueprint. They don't know the blueprint. They're just at a money grab. So, there's places that don't have any boundaries of what people do inside their facility and wonder why they're not getting that other type of clientele. My clientele's right across the street is Lear Jets coming in. So if I could have guys that could come off the Lear Jets and they're ready to golf for the weekend and everything else, and I got the guys at Barrett Jackson coming in, and I have well-to-do affluence of us, of black excellence that's coming in, and I got grandma coming from church, and I got the baby over here, and I got, Ish Wainwright from the Suns and all the Suns players and football players coming in, they all mixing it up. Right, Tim? And they're all having fun. We got Bill Bellamy coming in, and we got all these things happening, and everybody's having a good time. Means that I have the right formula, but it's not something that I put on. It's natural. It's a natural progression. And underneath that natural progression means that I'm developing a brand. Not just a restaurant, but an actual brand. So as I look forward for myself, it's that the bakery that I always had inside the restaurant. I always say, oh, this will always be a part of my inside a restaurant. It's getting overshadowed by the restaurant. So the thing that helped me build to be where I am is not really the number that does really much for me, which is sad. So with that being said, my accountant would say, no, you should not be building another, no. But I said, but I can't do that. It's a part of my history that helped me build. I got to pull it out of here and have it set on its own 2 feet. So it's time for the Sugar Jam Bake Shop to come back, be on its own, and have its own brick and mortar, so that the restaurant could just do its thing and be the restaurant. And so some of the customers that may not like the vibe, it's just the older customers that miss the old Sugar Jam. And once they know the bakery is back like that, oh, that's good. I just captured them to come back on a more regular basis, right? And then the other thing, it's about building on concepts. Everybody keeps asking me, you should do another Sugar Jam in the Southern Kitchen. You got to be somewhere else.
That was me.
He's like, franchise. No.
It's franchise. It's just something in that sauce. Franchises can work, and sometimes they can't work. I would rather be err on the side that when people come, they're coming because of the uniqueness of what Sugar Jam is. I can't replicate the naturalness of what you experience. I can't replicate a Trey. I can't replicate a Bernard. I can't replicate a Chef Sauce. I can't replicate those people, right? So there's a uniqueness to that. And the reason why people come with their luggage from the plane, they haven't even checked in yet.
Tourists.
There's a reason for that. So that means that particular location can stand on its own 2 feet for a long period of time. But what that also means is that I'm ready to work on concepts. And so out of the brand of Sugar Jam comes concepts. And what I feel that is not here, right, is what we're missing, is a woman-owned, black-owned hospitality group that creates concepts that puts out like a Fox.
I'm saying like Fox. That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
why can't it be us?
Hey,
All I need,
love that.
all I
reason
need
why.
all I need at the table is the fact that we have like-minded individuals that bring to the table, financing, understanding the market, right? Understanding the demographic, the market, what we're penetrating. We understand real estate. And then we bring together the concepts that we can now forge forward in. But as we bring the concepts together, now we're building them for scalability. Because we're building it from the start.
Yeah.
Now it's to be scalable. And that's what my next step is to bring forth concepts and scalability and launching the hospitality group. That's my next step.
There was a common
Wow.
denominator today.
What was the
That
common
was
denominator?
Work.
Yeah.
Nothing
It doesn't do it.
is easy.
Yeah.
You have to put in the work. You're saying at the beginning, like everybody want to be a boss. Are you willing to put in that work to be that boss?
Yeah.
So no, that
Yeah,
was great.
it's we live in a society with the advent of social media, and it's the iceberg effect. Everybody sees the top of the iceberg, but they don't understand when you look at the bottom, the years that it took for that iceberg to get to to get to that point to where it's formed. And when I speak about failure, I tell people all the time, it's like, look, nothing that you do that's going to be profitable or beneficial is going to ever come from a place of comfort.
Have to fail.
Comfort is your worst enemy. If you're comfortable, you should be nervous. I don't know how to operate from a place of comfort. Like I get anxiety if I'm comfortable because I feel like I'm missing something I didn't do right. And you hear it in the conversations that we just had. It's like there was a lot of uncomfortableness and there was a lot of walking to that edge and just jumping off. Like it's like having kids. It's never going to be a right time. It's never going to be a right time. And I say this all the time as well. You cannot have a plan A and a plan B. Plan A has to be to the point to where if this doesn't work, I don't eat.
That's it.
That literally has to be it. If A doesn't work, because what happens when you have plan A and plan B, plan C, is plan A will never get the attention that it needs because you always say in your mind, well, if this doesn't work, I have this. So it's so important that when you set out to do anything, whether it's in the corporate world, whether it's entrepreneurship, regardless of what it is, understand that there's going to be challenges, there's going to be bumps in the road. It's you have to fall in love with the journey. If you don't fall in love with the journey, you'll never make it to the end. You'll never make it to the finish line. And that is the most rewarding part is as I'm hearing all of these stories and all of this, people say, what's your why? When you think about how you started and what you went through to get to that point, that is your why. That is, we could say our kids, we could say this and that, but ultimately what it comes down to is I'm giving whatever this is, my blood, sweat, and tears. Like I can't stop. I can't. Like this is innate a part of me right now. And that's how you have to submerge yourself in anything. And anything that I do, if I commit to anything, you're getting 1,000% of it. Or else I'm not going to commit to it. And the commitment definitely has to be there when you talk about doing something. And I can't recreate what she does. That's not my passion. I can't do what she does. It's not my passion. I can't do what she does. It's not my passion. You cannot be doing things just for the dollar. It has to be something that if you were not getting paid $1, would you enjoy doing it? Would you still do it? If not, you just have a job. And those people that just have a job, you wake up every morning, oh my God, I gotta go into this job. You know how miserable that is to have that and to understand the biggest fable that we've been taught is retirement. You don't ever retire. No. You don't ever retire.
That's the whole thing. When people say, "Oh, you know, when you are an entrepreneur or a restaurateur, whatever it is for yourself, there is no such thing as retirement. Because if you were working in your passion or doing what you're passionate about, it's not work. And when you get to a certain point, like where I'm at, even if I'm working on whatever I'm working on, the 40 plus people that I got now, I'm in a stage of mentorship. And that's a part of my passion. Not everybody is going to be for you, right? Or for the vision, because they may not understand it. And you also have to understand where you are in age and what your experience level is to what these younger, I don't want to call them kids. So the younger folk are at, right? And they're like 23, 24, 25. You have to think back. I just said this the other night. I was talking to my husband. I said, Dad, by the time I was 24, I was already So when I took you through that whole synopsis, right? It's like from the time I graduated from college, I graduated 21 and all this stuff. It's like those took years. Yeah. So then when I look at what took us in our time, the years to build, to then where they are now, and they're still like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, you know, I'm not sure. Yeah. It's so different, you know, and I'm just like, wow. And so part of my goal while you are around me, and I hope they have these takeaways, is I want you to be better for you. But I hope that your time with me, because no one's ever going to stay with you forever, but I hope that the time that you have spent with me, you have takeaways to help you in anything else you do in your life. Regardless if it's entrepreneurship, regardless if you're working for someone else, it doesn't matter. But I hope that the skill sets that I have implored you with help you along your journey. And there's certain people that you see that just have this certain amount of passion. And there's people that I have that I'm bringing up as I'm moving, I'm taking you up. I'm changing your role. I'm taking you up because you grown from being a server, right? You're more than that. You're managerial, and you're more than that. You're administrative. And you probably gonna be more than that. And so that's the people that I will give certain details to, so that they know like what's going on behind the closed doors and why I'm asking. You know. But yeah, I always look at all these, all the people that work for me, and I was like, wow, I got like a lot of kids. A lot of them, you know, I do.
Yeah, you do. You do.
I do.
You did, and it's when we do these different things that we're involved in our lives. It's really about creating a legacy.
Yeah.
Creating a legacy is one of the most important things that you can do, because creating a legacy means that your name and what you've done will stick around long after you're gone. And that's the ultimate goal, is to create these legacies and pass this stuff down to people that's coming after us. And I just want to open the floor up to our host to see if you guys have any questions for these accomplished young ladies.
I just want to say, like, to the people watching, there has been a lot of gems dropped here.
Yes.
From different genres. So if y'all watching, hey, pay attention, learn, listen, take in what has been said today.
And the common denominator is
Work.
work. Christy,
Yeah,
what say you?
I just want to thank you all for sharing your stories, because they're touching. Like, that's why I'm here. I'm here to learn and grow. That's what I feel that we all are here for, to learn and grow. So I've learned a lot today, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you for sharing. And yeah, work is the main goal.
Yeah.
And
No
I
shortcuts.
Yeah,
No shortcuts.
I always tell my kids the number one thing when they say, "Well, what do I go to college for?" They're trying to think of what they want to do for the rest of their lives. They're teenagers now, So I'm like, do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. That's the one thing I've always told them: do what you love. Find what that is, because as kids, we're learning. Well, what is it that we love right now? Some of them are in karate or kung fu, and it's just like hone that skill and continue that, whatever it is that you're passionate about in life. So thank you for sharing your passions.
Just to piggyback off of what you said, when I speak, that's one of the things that I say is, I tell kids, get out and fail at as much stuff as you can. Feel like if you think you want to do it, do it.
Try it, yeah.
Because it's ultimately this. You rather have a life full of failures than a life full of regrets any day. How many times have we sit around a table or in a room and somebody's, man, I wish I would have. I wish I would have.
Yep.
Man, if I would have. I honestly can sit here and say I don't have any regrets in my life. I actually don't have any regrets. If I thought about it, I did it. I may have fell flat on my face, but I can't look back and say, man, I wish I would have. And then when people ask you, what would you change about your life? What would you change?
I don't have anything to change about my life.
What would you change?
Everything was a lesson. Everything that you go through teaches you something for the next.
Roberta, what would you change?
Nothing.
And so that is the common denominator that everybody successful. And let me clear up the definition of success. Not everybody's idea of success is the same. Society's idea of what success is money, cars, houses, and the abundance of that. But if you come from an African country that may be considered to be a third world, to have running water,
Africa is a third world.
yeah, I don't really look at them as, I mean, it is, but like the riches, the natural resources that are there. But I say that to say that success is not quantified by money, cars, houses, and the abundance of that. It's a mindset. It truly is. If you think that you're successful, if I come from growing up in the projects and nobody got an education that I grew up with, and I go to college and I get my degree, I'm successful. If I start a business and everybody that I know never started a business and they had ambitions of doing it, and I start a business and it ends up being successful, I'm a success. The money, the cars and houses is just the whipped cream and the cherry on top of
It'll
what
come.
is already success. And when you think about when you are really walking in your purpose and your passion and you're doing what you love, the money is coming. Like the money is coming. Like Dana said, it's like at that point is when you start fine tuning everything and you start looking at them numbers and figure out, okay, how can I maintain this and take it to the next level? So I just want to thank you guys. Floyd, did you have anything that you want to add in?
You know, all this information, I'm like just hearing from each one of you. I mean, I'm just great. It's just great. It's just like, wow, you know. There is something I do want to say. What is it that can help anyone to get to the mindset of understanding that hard work, just like everyone's saying, hard work is the goal? How would you explain that to a young person?
Well, I would never want to scare anyone, because just be offset and say, okay, this is going to take a lot of hard work. You're just going to have this path and blah, blah, blah. You already put a block up. They got a wall up, and so that with that wall, it's going to be like, because I don't even like doing my schoolwork, unless to be this.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it's about trying to identify the things that you love, right? Whatever they are. Like, you love these things. I love playing basketball, or I love, sketching, or whatever that is. Okay, so if you love that, how could we, if a person likes to sketch, how could we take this and make you some money? Because there is a commonality that we all enjoy to have something, right? So if you're talking to a kid that might be like 13 or 14 years old, it's like, how could we take your sketch and make it mean something more than it just looks good on paper? Like, what do you mean? What if we took your sketch and we put it on a t-shirt? You could do that? Yeah. Let's try to figure out how we can do that. So now, don't just give them the answer. Like, we'll just take it and go get it printed. No, let's research how we could get your sketch onto a shirt. Make it a task. Make it a project. Let them figure out and research and get it back to you. So now, by the time they now formulated how they research and how they got it, we could do this. They're excited. Now they're excited about something, but they just did some level of work.
They have to have that engagement. Yeah.
Right, it's an engagement. Now they got some level of work. Okay, so then what's the next step? Is there a telephone number that you do? Yeah, I got a number to put up. Okay, so let's call. So now you let them go ahead and call. Well, are you going to call? No, I'm going to have you call. Because you want to ask them, how could I get my sketch onto a t-shirt? That's one question, right? Yeah. Well, what would be another question? Well, how much would it be? Exactly. How much will this cost me? The next question is there a minimum? Now I'm letting them know. Ask them if there's going to be a minimum that we have to order in order for us to get what price. There's a way to engage, because now once I get them excited, now we could go ahead and say, we're going to be able to get your sketch onto this shirt, and then this shirt gets printed, and now this is beautiful, and now you're going to rock it. I want you to wear it to school. Now they wear it to school. Hey, where'd you get that shirt? What's that? What brand is that?
Word of mouth.
Oh, it was Brody. What? That's cool. Where you get more? Mom, they want more. All right, so now we got to print some more. You just started a business. There was that level of work. There's a level of mentorship. So there's never going to be, then that's at the bare root of it, right? But as you start to scale up and times get more, because now the demand goes, the business starts to form, there's going to be more and more work to do. But if you have the passion and are excited about what's happening, it'll never be such a detriment to your life that you will feel like, oh, this is so hard, whatever else. Because all that stuff that it sounds like it's hard when we tell our stories, and it sounds to you like it's just hard, it's not saying it wasn't hard, but we're going through it, right? We're not letting the wall hit us in the face like, oh my God, I'm done, girl. Take that, I'm done. No, we're going through it. So there is no glass ceilings above our heads, because we're going through it. So it's not until we take time to reflect back and be like, did you hear this story, what we did? Oh my gosh, whatever, oh my gosh, we did all this stuff. Yeah, but it doesn't. It just feels like it was yesterday. Like I remember, yeah, I did that, right? I'm still standing, but it helped me bring to the table what you have today, and it helped me be who I am. But I don't feel that was as hard as it sounds. But I did it because I had passion for it, and that's the thing that you have to convey to people. As long as you have passion and integrity for what it is you want to put forth. I don't care if it's a service, it's a product. She's helping people. She's helping people because she's bringing in, she's networking, she's on director boards, and she's doing all this stuff and it's putting people together. She's helping for behaviors, for mental health, and all this other stuff. But if you believe in what it is that you're doing, it's not a day of work, but I got to do the work. It's not that it's hard. I just got to get through to do it because it's the other side. Because I got passion for it.
Do you have anything to add to that, brother? I could hear you thinking.
You know, what's that guy? Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
He was
Poor
at
kid.
We had an opportunity
Oh,
to
sorry.
interview him.
Yeah. I listened to a lot of things on YouTube, and I remember he had this thing that he said, all the millennials, everybody wants to just do what they love instead of investing in what they love. And there's a huge difference between and that has always like stuck in my mind all the time. And also, what I would say is build and surround yourself with mentors.
Yep.
Okay. What is one? What is two? Because I feel like my father was a mentor. Elaine at the state was a mentor for me, right? I learned a lot from her. Jody at CFS in Yuma was a mentor for me. So when you're growing up, whether it's an uncle, that somebody that has some kind of sense of direction for you and supporting you in your goals, provide yourself a mentorship. Align yourself with the people based on the things that where you want to get to, right? Learn your craft, master it. It is a slow process. It started in 2005 for me, doing a lot of like sleepless nights, reading the policies, like the articles really to formulate the policies. I took like the long road, visiting facilities, but you have to learn. It's a process. I always tell, it's all about the process, because then it's more fulfilling when you get to that end product, and you don't chase the money, you chase the goal. You stay on the goal because the money will always follow. I always say that. Like I tell people, I tell my kids that all the time. Just focus on the goals. Focus on what you're trying to do here. So those are the key things that I think that if people thought that way. Another thing that a lot of people focus on is, when you're young, you're so caught up with like your expenses, right? Like that's like everything, like bills. Everybody is fixated on bills. And then, because like if you look at your PFS or whatever, you have your income, expense, and then you have your net. Okay? Everybody spends majority of the time in life thinking about expenses. If you focus on the income, expense, leave that to your CPA. Leave that to like that should be like 5%, right? That's what a lot of the people that are really wealthy or doing things, and your mindset is on the income. How do I keep building that income? Because then you're not focused on the expense because that income is coming. You keep adding. You keep adding. And then you probably want to focus on marketing too. Okay, so maybe a little bit percentage should be on marketing for sure. But your income, so income is always on the top. Expenses is like, you don't worry about that part. Because if you focus on that, your energy goes to the income and creating more revenue for yourself, that part will be taken care of. Your bottom line will always be straight. So focus on your income, how you're going to create more leverage for yourself, more money, things like that. Okay, so I always focus on the income. Expenses, I'm not even like, I know that's gonna happen. I gotta pay bills.
That's what you just said.
But you know, so if you focus on the income, 95% of your energy goes into that, creating, bringing in things like that is a big deal. Okay.
Because I guess I'm seeing it like this is true about what you said, because if you focus on the income, you can make the necessary adjustments down here on the expenses. You can cut this out, you can add this, or go a different route with that same thing and cut it. So it is like you said, the income is the most important, because you know that is a result of your hard work. You can fix everything else. What say you, Vic?
Oh my gosh. So, coming from a corporate realm, I think relationships are some of the things that I heard from you. So, networking is important. Always doing everything with excellence and integrity.
Yes.
Doing things the right way, and taking the time to reach out to those people who could be mentors to you, or they could be a peer or a colleague or
Right.
someone who you're gonna partner with. And that is the same in corporate America. I mean, we have what we call a coffee chat culture, and I like to tell people that the only job at American Express I ever applied for was the first one. They got me in the door. Everything else came because I was doing things above and beyond my normal job, doing special projects, working with people from different business units. They got to know the quality of work that I did, and when something came along, they asked if I was interested and would apply for it. The other thing, coming from a corporate standpoint, you guys, I'm gonna have the entire month of December off, because that's how because I take my vacation.
Right.
I know that if I were to get ill tomorrow, pass away, there would be someone taking over my role.
Right.
The posting would be up. They'd find somebody in 6 to 8 weeks. So I take my vacation. I pay myself first. Even after the downturn of COVID with the economy, things rebound. And so I always have, invested in above and beyond my 401k, my Roth IRAs, additional investments, making sure that my children understand that when I pass away, that even if it's at a ripe old age of 90 plus, they're going to have generational wealth. So that was always important to me, because coming up, unlike other people, my mom and dad didn't ever own a home. My dad's still renting. So it was really important for me to always be a homeowner and always have investments and have investments for my children.
Right.
And so that's where I come from. I really believe in making time for people, and like you said, mentoring others and developing our young people, and understanding that because I can pour into someone else, that's an ever widening circle of influence and getting things done. So those are the top things for me: relationships and working on those relationships, and always working everything you do in life with integrity, because it just takes one misstep or one mistake that is done out of ill intentions, and it can affect your blessing.
Yeah,
So.
it is. When we talk about mentorship, that is so important. Leadership and just the willingness to learn. You have to live this life with the willingness to learn, and learning does not come with a specific age.
Right.
We never stop.
should
learning.
never stop learning.
Never,
Never
ever.
stop learning. And it's so important to get with mentors and people that have done the stuff that you are interested in doing, because that's our job as leaders. It is, we go through this stuff so we can pass the information on to the next person, so they don't necessarily have to go through everything we went through.
Right.
Understand, my journey may not be your journey.
Right.
We may be going after the same thing, but if I can drop some tidbits on you based on what I did to get to this point, that keeps you from having to go through everything that I went through. So it's important to keep an open mind and find you some mentors that's going to challenge you and push you to be better than what you are, and push you to those goals. I really appreciate you guys coming in, man. It's been
amazing.
It's been amazing. Before we jump off of this air, we'd like to thank Energized Nutrition for providing us with our delicious drinks. Yes, we have sponsors.
They still
And if you
What's
want to be
really
a
in there?
sponsor, let us know.
Yeah, we are looking for additional sponsors as well. All of these American Expresses in here, and all these
We're trying to
behavioral
build
health
this
companies.
hospitality group.
Yeah.
God, I love
There
that.
we go. Look,
Girl,
That
speak
is-
that to into being for real.
Yes.
Out. I look
It's out
at
there, putting it out there.
Sugar Jam Hospitality Group. We gotta have it because
Look, you
Gotta be
got
competitive.
you could possibly have the cornerstone of all that right here in this room.
let's go.
Hey, so once again, I appreciate you guys coming in and spending some time with us. It's so important to me because I really value people's time, and I don't think we do enough of value in our own time. And that's the one commodity that once it's gone, you can never get it back.
Right.
We value everything else in our life, but we give away our time.
Yes.
And so I just want to thank you guys for allowing us to have a moment of your time
Yes.
and to be able to spend some quality time with you guys. And to all of our listeners, if you are listening to this show, you just got the blueprint.
Absolutely.
Just got the blueprint. And what's crazy is this blueprint goes across all lines of businesses. Yeah, they're talking about their prospective businesses and entrepreneurs and all of this stuff that they have going on. But the knowledge that they drop today actually will get you through life.
Yes.
Like, get you through life. So I want to thank you guys again for dropping in. Thank our host for the job that you guys do constantly. The personalities that are here is just like gel and glue. So love you guys.
Love you
Tune
too.
in. Tune in every Thursday at noon, and then Saturdays at 5. Larvell actually has a show that he's doing.
Who, Tim?
I'm talking Floyd. Floyd has a
You got a
show
show?
he's doing.
Oh,
Is the gospel.
higher praise music. Yes.
Yes, and so we'll be announcing that. Roberta, you have some stuff going on that we put on the flyer as well, right?
Oh yeah, the giveaways, the drives that we have for Thanksgiving. It's coming up for Thanksgiving and Christmas. We'll be collecting, items from the community, from backpacks to clothes, hygiene items, whatever anybody wants to donate. It can be used, it's okay, or not, for the people in recovery.
And
mental health.
And we'll be posting this stuff on all of our social media
Yes.
platforms,
That's
so we
awesome.
can
Thank
kind
you.
of target you guys to where you can take this stuff. I always like to give. I got so much stuff that I give away, and I don't like giving my stuff to these big corporations. I like going straight to the source.
Goodwill, yeah.
So we're going to give you guys this information to where you can go straight to the source to drop off all these goods, things that we take for granted other people really need. So we want to thank you guys for that. As we end all shows, we say love, peace, and song.
So
So as we end all shows, I forgot to give them the thing. Love, peace, and soul.